For our first project today, I'm using this adorable pocket shelf that I picked up just down the street from my house from a local antique vendor. She keeps a tent full of treasures outside and opens every Friday during the summer. This piece was originally $22, but I snagged it for $10. Total steal. This shelf was already in beautiful condition, so I'm just going to give it a good cleaning and applied one coat of Paint Couture's 2-in-1 Premium Primer in white. This primer is going to prepare our surface for paint, blocks any potential bleed through, and ensures excellent adhesion. After allowing it to dry thoroughly for like a few hours, I applied 2 coats of Waverly's chalk paint in the color Celery, and then I'll set that aside and work on the next step. We're going to make some castings using IOD's Swans mold and their Frames 3 mold, all from the 2026 summer release. I cast both swans from the mold. This one is especially fun because the swans mirror each other, giving you lots of creative design options. And off camera, I did cast some from the Frames 3 mold. I'm using amazing casting resin. The castings were ready in about 10 minutes. This sets up so fast. And once it's cured, I'm going to paint all of these with 2 coats of the color Celery that we used on the shelf. And once that's dry, I'm going to take Paint Couture's Verde Green Glaze. This is such a gorgeous color that I don't use nearly enough. I worked the glaze into all those recessed details and then gently pulled back with a damp paper towel. Just look at it. It's just so beautiful. And the depth and dimension it creates is phenomenal. Before I forget, I did do some light sanding on my shelf. And I set that aside and let it dry. And I brushed a little ivory paint onto the center of our shelf because I knew I wanted to decoupage this gorgeous fiber paper from Redesign's 2026 summer release. It's called Crimson Elegance. I absolutely love the bold burgundy tones paired with that soft blush pink. I've used this paper before and I just want to use it on everything. And once I get it decoupaged down, I'm going to trim off the excess and then fill in the gaps using it. Oh, and that squeegee you saw me using to smooth it out, that's from Redesign. It comes with the fiber paper, and this tool is incredibly handy and makes the process so much easier in my opinion. If you've never worked with fiber paper before, it's very different from traditional decoupage papers. The closest thing that I can compare it to is a very thin felt maybe, or some sort of fabric. It's incredibly durable and it doesn't tear easily, which is one of the reasons I love working with it. When I decoupage with fiber paper, I use plenty of medium, whether it's Mod Podge or liquid patina or, any other decoupage medium. I typically apply 3 coats in total. And I like to use my fine water mister to help move that medium around and really work it into all those fibers. The reason I do that is because I want this piece to be durable and easy to maintain, whether it stays in my home or eventually gets sold. I want it to be something that can be wiped down and clean without having to worry about dirt and dust settling into all those fibers over time. Now back to our swans. I'm using the color Ivory by Waverly, and this is going to highlight all those raised areas. For me, this is where the magic really starts to happen, and this is where the contrast really starts to come through. Between the soft green base, the dark glaze in all the details, and the ivory highlights, it creates beautiful depth and dimension, and I think this is absolutely gorgeous. This is a color combination I haven't used before, but I definitely will again. I love this. Off camera, I am going to glue these down into place because I was a little nervous about bumping them or just getting them off center while I was trying to film. But for the top casting, I'm using a little bit of hot glue and also Pentart's Heavy Body Gel. Since this part has it has an overhang and doesn't have any support behind it, I figured the hot glue would help everything stay in place while the Heavy Body Gel cures. And if you haven't used Heavy Body Gel, it's absolutely amazing. I trust it more than E6000 or any other adhesive for that matter. Once something is attached, it's not going to go anywhere. Just look up Pentart's Heavy Body Gel. There's so many different ways of using it. And of course, there's, you can use it as adhesive, but a lot of people use it while stenciling. For the finishing touch, I'm stamping 1748 in the center of the frame using the Concierge Library stamp, again from the new release. And guys, this piece has my heart. From the moment I saw that fiber paper, I knew I wanted to create something special, and seeing it all come together with the swans and the vintage details, it's just so elegant and romantic and exactly the kind of decor I love having in my home. What do you think of this one? For our second project today, this one, I'm going to take you for a ride. I got this toolbox on Whatnot, and it's old. I wasn't sure exactly how old at first, but we'll get there. All right, I did some light sanding and mixed some milk paint. This is the color Juniper by Sweet Pickins, 1-to-1 ratio, so 2 tablespoons of water to 2 pat tablespoons of Juniper. I like my milk paint to be a little on the thicker side. Once I got it nice and stirred, I'm going to set it aside for about 10 minutes. Okay, so I started brushing this on, and I had a weird feeling about this project from the beginning. I'm not entirely sure why. I think it was the white paint I wasn't so sure about. But I did do a little light sanding, and almost immediately I started to see the paint separating, and it went on fine along the sides. It was no issue, but there was also no paint on the sides. So I just kept working through it. You ever have that gut feeling like something isn't going to go right with a project and it doesn't go right? So you can see little white spots, and they're also called fish eyes, where the paint pulls back and leaves like tiny circles, and it's caused by something on the surface. Something is repelling that paint. It's also called paint rejection, right? And I kept going, and then I was like, oh gosh, this isn't right. It's not right, but I kept going, right? I think I just needed to prove to myself that it wasn't going to work. So I have my embossing gun and I'm blasting it, and immediately can see the paint pulling up, curling up, separating, and I went forward and just kept drying the sides. The sides were fine. I said, well, I'll just try my second coat and see how it goes. Hit it with some heat, and this is where it all goes south. And I knew it was happening. Again, that feeling in my gut. So I went ahead, put on the second coat on the sides, and when I flipped it back over and saw the top, yeah, total fail. So I just started scraping it off and just rubbing with my hands, and it totally just like flaked right off. Look at that. So I sanded it all down, and this is where the story begins. Just bear with me a second. Guys, I went through so much sandpaper on this project. It wasn't even funny. Unfortunately, I couldn't sand it outside because it was raining and it was also like 10 o'clock at night. Looking back, I definitely should have worn a mask because I did so much sanding that I ended up with a sore throat the next day. A lesson learned, I'll do different next time. As I kept sanding, I started noticing like natural wood peeking through, and then I realized there were words underneath the paint. At that point, I was completely invested. The more I uncovered, the more curious I became. And this is where I saw it, that it said tool chest. And I was like, oh wow, this is so cool. I kept going, and soon I could make out the letters ACI. And that's when I started thinking, this has to say American. And before long, the N appeared, and I knew I was right. Then I spotted this little emblem in the upper corner, and honestly, my heart was just racing. I felt like I was uncovering a little piece of history hidden beneath all those layers of paint. And at that moment, I was so glad the original makeover didn't work out, because if it had, I never would have discovered any of this. Just look at all that's been hiding underneath all those layers of paint. So I just sanded and sanded, but I didn't want to take away some of the beautiful accents of the layers. So I left some of that in there, and the little white that's around the nail holes. And I'm so happy with how this looks. It's just so beautiful. And I felt like I uncovered treasure. And so I decided to just take some clear wax by Sweet Pickins and go over the whole thing. And then I decided I want to darken it up a little bit. And then I took my dark oil wax again by Sweet Pickins and then just went over the whole thing and did just one layer, and I let it sit for a little bit. This wax is going to seal in our milk paint. You want to make sure that you do this, because if you don't and it gets wet, it's going to destroy your whole project. You don't have to use dark oil wax. You can use, liquid patina or Mod Podge or just any type of medium. You just want to make sure that you protect it. Now I'm going to go in with my favorite vintage antiquing paste. I probably tell you guys in every video how much I love this stuff, but I always remind myself that there may be new viewers watching who haven't heard me talk about it before. And if I'm going to mention it, I also want to give credit where credit is due. The person who got me hooked on this product was Marla from Rusta Roses Vintage. I truly appreciate creators who inspire me, and I think they deserve the recognition. Okay, so I worked that antiquing paste around the entire toolbox and then buffed it back with a paper towel. And this is where, I like to take my time, slow down, and just build up the layers of age and character. And then I can take my oil wax and pull some of it back if I get a little heavy-handed. And I decided to leave the inside untouched because I really just wanted to preserve some of its history. I couldn't bring myself to paint over all those years of wear and use. I also kept all the original hardware, for the same reason. And after doing a little research, it appears that this toolbox may date back to the mid 1950s, possibly 1955. Between the overall construction, the ATC logo, and the deluxe branding, and also the style of the hardware, it definitely feels post-war. So whether I'm exactly right or not, it's clear this toolbox has a story behind it, and I'm so glad I was able to uncover a little piece of it. I love this. I really do. And I know I said that about the first project, and I really do love that one. However, this one has a story, and I think that's what I love most about it. It also looks like this toolbox originally had handles on the side. I stopped by it's called Barn Boards and More, to see if I could find replacements, but they were closed. I plan on bringing the toolbox back next week when they're open and see if they can help me find the perfect pair. They know me very well over there, and I think they'll get a kick out of seeing this piece. Anytime that I see these clipboards at Goodwill, I buy them, and I typically pay just $2 for them. And I'm going to give this one 2 coats of the color Paisley. This is Fusion Mineral Paint. It has both a primer, a sealer, and a self-leveler. Boy, say that 10 times fast. And I'm going to be sure to paint the back as well. And now I'm taking my, what's it called, Lee Courier stamp, some white ink, and I'm going to ink it up real well and place that right on the front. And I'm just going to tuck it under the clip itself carefully and hold my stamp with one hand and work the other, and then just switch off until I know that I have gone over the whole stamp. I think this color is so pretty. I love the gray undertones. This is one that I will definitely purchase in a larger size. It comes in a 1.25 ounce container. And it's really, I mean, you can really do a lot with that little amount. I know it seems like nothing, but I can really get a lot of projects out of those. In fact, while I'm thinking of it, Sonnet's Maker's Box is going up on this, well, Fusion's going up on the size. So if you're interested in getting a box, you'll get a larger size next time around. And then once it's dry, I heat set my ink. I have my Wild Blomin transfer book by IOD, and this actually came in my Rehatch Designs box. I have gotten so many uses out of this, and I still have a ton left. So I'm choosing these pretty purple flowers. I can't tell if they're irises or not. And then these pretty pink ones. And I'm not going to have you watch as I apply all these. We've already done rub-on transfers many times, so I'm just showing you placement. And even if you're new here, I'm almost positive you've watched other people put on rub-on transfers. They're just so easy and so fun to work with. I use them all the time, and I'm actually surprised I didn't use them in any of the other projects. This is IOD's Athenium. I hope I'm saying that right. Gilded Transfer book, again from the 2026 spring summer release, and I wanted to use this silver design, and I thought it looked really pretty with like that color blue with the gray undertones and then the soft purples and stuff. So to burnish it on, I just used my finger, and now I'm going to take IOD's Cadre Mould, and I ended up pretty much filling the whole thing, and I'm taking out this design, and I'm going to glue this right to the top. So using just a scalpel to remove the little excess there from over pour, and once I figure out where I'm going to glue it, I have my Loctite super glue and my Loctite accelerator, and this is gonna instantly set up. Just like that, and within seconds. It's not gonna go anywhere. This stuff is amazing. And I'm gonna clean up the excess that I have on the back. There, I didn't get any on the side. So now the sides are secure, and I got these little pieces out of that same mold and gluing them down to the corners on the bottom there. And I have my handwritten notes stamp by Redesign, and I'm going to ink this up real good with my white ink. This is my favorite ink. I use it so much. I also have other colors, but I find I'm reaching for this one and my stone gray quite often, and I'm going to place this right on the back, repeating the same step as the front. I'm going to paint all my castings with this color Pewter. It's by Luminaire. It's basically a metallic acrylic paint, and let it dry. And now I'm going over it with Paint Couture's Van Dyke Brown Antiquing Glaze. And this is my favorite glaze. I'm going to work that over my castings and making sure to get it into all the low points using my water mister and my paper towel to pull some of that back. And I'm also going to bring that glaze around the sides and then wipe some of that back as well. And I also love how the water mister creates those little aged droplet marks. It adds just a little bit more character and makes the piece feel even more time worn. And then to finish it off, I did seal in the front off camera with Paint Couture's Extreme Guard satin, and then I used a little bit more of that antiquing glaze that was left over on my brush and lightly brushed that onto the surface and then kind of blended it out with the Extreme Guard. While that dries, let's move on to our second clipboard. I had originally painted it the color what color? Oh, Peony by Fusion, but I wasn't loving the color. I was at the bottom of the jar and the paint had gotten really thick and it just wasn't giving me the finish that I wanted, so I repainted over it with Waverly's Ballet Slipper instead. For this clipboard, I'm repeating the same steps. Since I ran out of my adhesive, I'm using super glue gel along with my accelerator to attach this casting onto the clip. And then I'm adding these sweet little angel castings to the bottom. Honestly, these would make the cutest little feet on a box. Can you imagine shaping them while the castings are still warm and then wrapping them around the corners? I think that would be adorable. Now I have Primrose Isle, and I'm going to choose this really beautiful flower here, or should I say flowers, and I'm removing Alfred Tennyson's name just because it wasn't going to fit, so we're going to reapply that, and then I'm cinching up the clip with a zip tie, and it's just going to make it so much easier for me to get this transfer on underneath. And then I reapplied Tennyson's name and added some bees and some butterflies. And then I added this one to the back, but I wanted something on the side, so I cut out these strawberries and put those onto each side. And I'll give the front and the back both a coat of Extreme Guard. And now I have Label Deluxe Gilded Transfers by Redesign. I put this on right onto the center and sealed it in with Extreme Guard. Now I have my Ivory Chalk Paint by Waverly, and I'm going to go over my castings with this. And now that they're dry, I'm going over them with Amber Honey Glaze. It's another antiquing glaze by Paint Couture, really working it into all the low points of those castings, and then using my paper towel and my water mister to pull it back in. If I didn't mention in the first project, in the first clipboard, I did go over the clip itself just to age that up a bit. I know it's probably hard to see on camera. I lightly highlighted all the raised details on my castings. With the pink one, I used some rose gold luxe metallic, and I just kept my brush at an angle and used a very light touch because a little goes a long way. And then for the other clipboard, I used Silver Ice, and that's another Luxe Metallic, both by Couture, and simply applied it using my finger across all the high points. I absolutely love how this one turned out. The Silver Ice pairs so beautifully with the gilded transfer and adds just the right amount of shimmer without overpowering the design. And this is how my clipboards came out. I love them, and I really hope that you enjoy them as much as I do, and maybe I inspired you to make some of your own. I know these are going to be a lot of fun to have here in my workshop, and I know I'll find something to use them for. I had so much fun bringing the first two projects back to life, especially that toolbox. It's just one of those projects that completely surprised me. And as always, if you liked the video, you know what to do. And if you loved it, hype me up. I can't wait to chat it up with you in the comments. Let me know what you think of all the projects today. And turn on those notifications if you don't want to miss another video from me. Thank you for spending time with me. I'll see you next Friday. Bye.